Welcome one more day to space and harmony. A new opportunity to go deep into ourselves and discover the true essence of reality. And today we are going to explore a very profound subject. I have been very inspired as I was speaking in the Spanish video. Remember, this is a bilingual channel, so I publish videos both in Spanish and English. And the subject has to do with what we can call the alchemical fire, the emotional transformation that we can experience when we direct our attention and awareness without attachment in a situation of suffering and pain within ourselves. And we have to realize this is not just an individual spiritual work or a psychological work. This is a universal process of transformation, and we are taking part. We are allowed to take part in it as cells of the universal soul. So this is important to release tension. So we don't have to approach any spiritual work in a self-centered way. And in order to understand this deeper, we have to see very clearly how the negative mind works and how this mind is what makes us suffer, what makes us see things in a very conflictive and problematic way. Once we transcend this negative mind, then we are free, and we can be experiencing process of healing right now. Obviously, there are levels that we are going to see. But first, notice that the reactive mind is very much like a serpent. We can call it the serpent mind. Serpent implies the 5 elements, the light crucified in the 4 elements. Penta is 5 in Greek. And one of the first actions that the mind, the negative mind, uses to trap light is negative judgment or labeling, using the structures of language in a negative way or in a divisive, splitting way. Notice how the mind is constantly separating, putting labels, either positive or negative. We say, this is a table, that's a chair, I am a person, I am separate from the world, and so on. This is a way of constricting reality, when the truth is that everything is waves of energy, everything is connected. And the most tragic condition is that the mind not only separates but judges negatively, and this increases the experience of duality. This characteristic is known as accusing, DIABOLOS in Greek. That's the origin of the term devil. So the serpent mind is the origin of the so-called devil, and it's within. We also find accusers outside, but we also have this accusation within ourselves, and it's the beginning of the problem. Many people are constantly accusing politicians and dark entities of causing all the troubles that we are experiencing, but they don't look into themselves, and this is a problem. Obviously, there are many dark forces which keep the earth in a state of darkness, conflict, chaos. We are seeing this today, but we have to stop the accusation within ourselves. If we don't do this, then there is a second stage, because every time the mind, the serpent mind, accuses, there is another movement, which is self-contraction. And this psychological contraction generates psychological pain, suffering, and then physical pain as well. Actually, there are psychological shields, resistances, and physical shields, which can manifest in the form of an illness, a tumor, or another autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases are usually very common in this type of reaction because they are related to the nervous system, the mind. And the body can be very sensitive when we don't resolve a problem which is emotional and mental. Now, this is something that the serpents do constantly. They hide themselves, they curl, and sometimes they become like sticks. Actually, the other day I was having a short run across the mount, and I passed by what I thought it was a stick, but a few meters afterwards I realized that that was not a stick, so I went back and I realized it was a serpent. And obviously the animal heard my steps and it became completely rigid as a self-defense mechanism. And I just kicked a little stone to touch the animal from the distance. I didn't want to be bitten by it, so I just observed the reaction of the animal. When the stone hit a little bit the serpent, this animal crept towards the bushes and then it went away, so I moved. Anyway, I observed the reaction in my mind. I felt a little bit of disgust because this animal was a bit disgusting. It was black and humid, and that was a bit disgusting, but I realized this reaction in me, so I relaxed this accusation within myself. I didn't consider the animal bad, but there was obviously a negative reaction within myself, and then I kept moving and forgot about it. This would be the ideal attitude in any other situation. We have to let go of negative judgments, especially in conditions of disease. For instance, if we have an autoimmune disease or an allergy, and we say, oh, I am allergic to dairy or to bread, and we are constantly thinking about it, or we think, I have a tumor, then this thought is constantly reinforcing the state of disease. Because in reality, there are no diseases as we think of them, because reality is more complex. So, if we have an allergy in the body, that's simply a reaction to something which is taking place on many levels. In the emotional body, in the mental body, in the energetic body. So it's ridiculous to think of it as an allergy. There are many things taking place at the same time. And if we just focus on one element, then we are creating a situation of isolation. So we are perpetuating the problem. This is why modern medicine is causing lots of pain and suffering and disease by approaching disease with labels, with supposedly scientific investigations. There are even funny concepts such as the placebo effect, which is really a way of hiding the power of the mind, instead of explaining people that what heals them is the mental attitude of letting go. They say, no, it's just a placebo effect. And that's a way of perpetuating ignorance. Actually, one of the ways the mind tries to escape from the situation of suffering is by trying to justify itself by means of theories, although the most common path the mind finds to escape or try to escape from a situation of disease or suffering is by getting lost into weak habits smoking, drinking, irrational sex, and especially food, taking food constantly, trying to fill the emotional void and to anesthetize the body because of the pain. We all have been experiencing all this in a more or less conscious way, but I have something very important to tell you. I discovered something really profound when I went through a crisis of health. As I've been telling in other occasions, I had lots of digestive problems. My organs stopped working several years ago because of different situations of stress that I was going through. And in the beginning I was very confused. I had suffered from eczema from many years ago, and I didn't understand how that was fully related to the mind. I knew it had to do with the nervous system, but I didn't discover all the connections. I knew there was something related to the food, the way I ate, but in the beginning I couldn't solve the problem. The doctors didn't know how to solve the situation either. I refused to take any form of medicine, not even antihistaminic drugs, so I experienced the hell all over my body, which was covered with eczemas, allergic reactions, dry patches, blisters, and for a long period of time, because my body reacted to all sorts of food, especially dairy, bread, and all that. Obviously, I went through many experiments. I tried to heal the gut in several ways. Some theories say this is the cause, and there is something related with the gut, obviously, but the problem is deeper. It has to do with a very strong mind that judges the world negatively and represses the emotions and keeps them locked down for a very long period of time. So it comes a point in which the body says, you have to look into this. Obviously, the body is simply reacting to the accumulation of a very strong energy. And the organs self-contract, so they cannot absorb the nutrients. They collapse, so to say, and they cause not just digestive problems and skin problems, but many other problems, all sorts of cancer and so on. So this is a very important question. This is not just a way of finding spiritual liberation. This is a question of life or death. In my case, it works because I wouldn't be alive if this way of freedom was not true. Actually, I experienced greater degrees of healing as I was understanding more and more what was taking place. And one of the keys was letting go of all the resistance to suffering. I knew in ancient times one of the ways of healing was called incubation, lying down in silence for long periods of time, relaxing, allowing the energy of life to take care and heal the body. But this is something that has to take place on many levels. We have to let go of all the resistances, all the negative judgments. And this is something that I started to practice more consciously when my eczemas were very strong in my hands. For instance, I realized that when I did the exercise of contracting my hands and opened them up with the eczemas, that was very painful, but there was a reaction in me, a negative reaction full of fear and resistance, because I didn't want to feel more pain. So doing this exercise was a way of releasing that self-contraction. And I realized that it wasn't that bad, the pain. I obviously went through a lot of pain and suffering because my whole body was covered with cracks and they bled. So it was not easy. But I realized the body heals itself. Actually, when I found the points of mental liberation, my skin became more resilient and flexible. So I realized the nervous system is connected to the mind and it can immediately begin to heal the wounds. But we have to feel the pain freely without resistance. And this is not new. This is known since ancient times. And it's something that I have lived and experienced fully in different situations. I remember an occasion when I twisted my ankle. I was running, and I was about 10 years old or so. And something happened. It fell to the ground, but instead of focusing on the pain negatively, something came into me. It was, I think, a higher or deeper level of the soul, which took command, and I relaxed and I accepted the full situation of pain. And in a matter of seconds, it was gone. The pain was gone. And I think that if my negative mind had been activated, I would have been visiting a doctor, very probably. And I have been experiencing this type of healings in even more clear situations, but I prefer to reserve them for other occasions. I have many things to tell, but for now I think you get the idea. And concerning the health crisis to which I referred previously, I keep experiencing greater levels of healing because there are many layers. I no longer have strong immediate reactions for eating dairy or bread. I can eat them. I have changed the way I eat, that's true. I have improved my habits because before that they were in a very disorganized way. I was a snacker. I ate when I should not have been eating, and just because of emotional stress, it was a type of anxiety what led me to eat half an hour or an hour after having lunch or after having dinner, eating biscuits or dry fruit or bread with chocolate, things that in many occasions were industrial, they were not natural, and that was another way of poisoning my system. So obviously all that causes an imbalance of bacteria which affects the gut. This is why it's important to eat frugally when it's necessary and combining the food properly so that we don't have more appetite than what is necessary. And this took several years of investigation and practice. And today I have reached a state in which I have better levels of energy. I can eat just twice a day and be okay. And I keep going deep and deeper. I think the healing have to reach the spirit as well, because our spirit is also broken. Our will was broken. And I'm sure many of you already know that this is not new. There have been other testimonies. For instance, a very famous one is told by David Hawkins. He was a doctor who was diagnosed with many sorts of diseases. The doctors didn't find a solution for him when he was around 50. And little by little he realized that the problem had to do with his strong will. He had repressed the emotions, and that had generated such a contraction in his organism that all his organs started to fail. So he experienced allergies, digestive problems, lack of vision, and many other things. And he was able to overcome that situation little by little. And he wrote a very popular book called Let Go, I think. One of the chapters is precisely dedicated to explaining how he experienced those ailments and how he got out from them by letting go, allowing, accepting the pain and letting go the negative judgment and so on. And he reached a very advanced, relatively advanced age, around 90 years of age. However, I think it's possible to lead this transformative action to such a state that we can heal the energy body, the emotional body, and the mental body to such a degree that we can experience the fusion with our divine soul. This has been experienced in the long past, and we can experience this nowadays when true knowledge is coming back into humanity in the age of Aquarius. So this is why there are so many prophecies regarding the manifestation of the sons of light and so on. Actually, there is a very profound spiritual background related to this transformative fire. Actually, there was something on which I pondered very deeply when I was experiencing the health crisis. And it was a passage by Isaiah. He said, "He was taken as a lamb to the slaughterhouse, wounded was he by our transgressions, but by his wounds or stripes we were healed." Now, I could understand that he was referring to the divine light incarnating in humanity, the just, the righteous of Israel, the divine soul, as it is called in the Hebrew teachings. But the idea of being healed by the wounds of someone was very confusing to me. I didn't understand how can a wound heal. But I eventually realized that this is possibly referring to the art of feeling the pain fully, to transcend it. Because the fire, the emotional fire that generates this awareness, burns out all the contractions, all the egoism, all vanity, which is basically the source of all diseases. Sin, the transgression of the natural law, is basically the root of all death and disease. There is even an old saying by the Buddha, the Awakened One, which says, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." So it's in our hands to let go of the egoic mind, which is causing all the trouble. And this is pure alchemy. The word alchemy comes from Kemet, which was the Black Land. This was the name of Egypt in the ancient times. And it's related to Kem, one of the sons of Noah, which is related to the different types of soul that emerge from the days of Atlantis and the destruction of Atlantis, in my vision. And obviously, the wise men that develop alchemy in Egypt inherited from Atlantis, but they developed a very fallen state of alchemy because they eventually raised temples, and when the Egyptians inherited this knowledge, they kept worshipping the god of this world, which basically focuses on the material aspect. However, there are alchemical symbols which are very revealing. Actually, one of the most important symbols appeared to me the other day, right in front of my eyes. It was the first time I contemplated that beautiful scene. I had watched that on the TV, but never live. I was walking in the mount. It was nearly at night, and I realized there was something black walking on the ground, so I approached. And there I found a scarab beetle. It was very big, and it was pushing a ball of dung with the back paws. And it entered the bushes, and it kept pushing the ball with effort. I was fascinated, and I remember how the Egyptians used that image in order to symbolize the transformation of the black state of matter, state of nigrel, decomposition or death, and help life come out of it. Actually, the scarab beetle lays eggs inside of dung, if I'm not mistaken. They may use that to build the house as well, but I think they use for laying eggs. And in the same way, we can use the dark matter of our psyche for a transformation when we are able to direct our attention and our consciousness unconditionally with true love and true vitality, and then contribute to the formation of subtle bodies, energy bodies, which can receive an infinite light that grows in us. So the Egyptians were already involved in the construction of subtle bodies and the union of spiritual souls. However, they fell into a fallen science, a fallen alchemy, because they were not fully connected to the primordial man, to the cosmic father, whose soul must be raised from the human experience. That was known as the Son of Man. Actually, there is another image, very important. The story says that the Israelites were bitten by snakes in the desert, and then Moses put a serpent on a pole and made the Israelites watch the pole so that they could be healed. It was as if saying, this is what is causing trouble, the serpent within you, the serpent mind, the energies that attack, that judge, accuse. That's the cause of the bites that you have. Crucified and live. So the thing is not worshipping death or worshipping crucified people as in ancient times, but the idea is rather remembering that we have to crucify egoism within ourselves. And this is why Yeshua came to say later on that as Moses raised the serpent in the desert, so shall be raised the Son of Man, the son of Adam, in the last days. This is very intriguing because he is not referring just to the same action that Moses, but to something different. The Son of Man is a state of consciousness. We'll see this deeper the following day, but it has to do with the reorganization, reharmonization of a sphere of light within ourselves, so that we can go back to our previous original state and be the divine soul of the primordial Adam. Because we are crossing the world of darkness, transforming that darkness into light, or reorganizing chaos within ourselves by means of receiving the loving infinite light, which is our true being, actually. We are meant to be working as cells of the divine cosmic soul that belongs to the primordial man, the primordial cosmic father. And this is something we can find mentioned in Daniel 7, when the Son of Man, the son of Adam, is taken by primordial Adam and put into the throne, the seat of his cosmic solar plexus, so to say. And for that we need to work to increase the level of consciousness and conscience so that we can express the infinite loving light. This is something that will make us experience the 7 types of earth that we have been living as we fell into this physical world. Remember that those 7 earths are in scripture. They were explained more in detail in the Zohar. The first and most important is Tavel, the infinite earth of abundance. However, the first humanity of light got disconnected from it, and it experienced other earths, Arka, Adama, from which the living soul of Adam was made, then Eretz, which is this earth that we are living, then Ge, the earth of suffering, Nesiyah, the earth of forgetfulness, and Sia, the earth of desolation. But this is something that is not just outside, it's within ourselves. And the following day we are going to see this more clearly. But for now I think we have enough elements to ponder and to work very intensely. Always focusing on releasing negative judgments, on directing the attention so that we can be free, regardless of any situation. It doesn't matter if we have a death condition. Many death decrees have been exerted on us, but we can cancel them. Don't accept anything, no matter how negative it is. If we are a manifestation of the true light, we have to assume our possibilities of transformation are infinite. Obviously, this implies letting go of many false beliefs, many fears, and assume our true responsibility as sons of the Holy One, or as sons of Adam in a rectified form, to approach this in a more humble way. Because that's the first stage, to be in the true original condition of humanity, so that we can become true sons of the living Holy One. And for now, thank you very much for listening with attention, as always. If you have questions, leave them below in the box of comments. That contributes to promote the channel. Give thumbs up if it was inspiring to you. Down below I will leave some links if you are interested in the testimony of David Hawkins. I'll also add the videos on the Kosmo-Communication and healing by 13th sphere of sensory awareness, which is very important to begin the process of intense unconscious feeling, because that's the first step to become aware of the different spheres in ourselves and release tension. That's a very basic approach. There you have it if you don't know it. And until the next day, blessings of unconditional infinite love, unmodified life, integral conscience, and blissful serenity, always here and now.